Melania Trump is pretty popular in her home country of Slovenia, but you better not call her an escort or you will find yourself in a lot of trouble. I personally think it's more hideous to knowingly marry a monster than to potentially have been an escort, but that's just me. So she has her own attorney in Slovenia who is pretty well known for appearing on CNN, on national television, and has worked on a national level even, by the name of, and I'm probably mispronouncing this, Pirc Musar?
No one knows.
Okay, I was hoping one of you would know. Who has talked a lot about fighting various legal battles for Melania back in Slovenia. On that she said to me that she did not want to sue anybody, that she was not doing that for money. She obviously does not need it. She just wanted me to set limits about what is allowed and what is not allowed. This is on the topic of a few magazines publishing stories about Melania. According to Anna Nemstova at the Daily Beast, people were publishing scandalous stories about Melania. Others were starting to try to use her name for their merchandising, even naming a cake after her. A magazine in Slovenia called Suzy published an article that month saying that in the 1990s, Melania Knavs, as she was then known, worked for a modeling agency run by Paolo Zampolli in New York that, quote, operated as an escort agency for wealthy clients. A few weeks later, Pirc Musar and her client filed a lawsuit against Suzy. And that's not the end of the lawsuits. In October of 2016, they filed a lawsuit against Tomasz Michalik in a court in
that place.
It accuses him of defamation, of making false and unverified statements against Melania. The case is still in the courts. And it doesn't necessarily need to be anything that is found scandalous or negative. In particular, photographer Matthew Atanian was Melania Knavs' roommate in the Zeckendorf Towers on Union Square in New York City before Melania even met Trump. Atanian told the Daily Beast that Melania's lawyers banned him from publishing any photographs of young Melania. On that, he said, "All I had was good wishes for her in the interviews. Then I get nasty letters from her lawyers threatening to sue me and bankrupt me if I publish any photos of her. This is not how you treat a friend." So yes, and there have also been people claiming to have been her boyfriend, and she says he was never my boyfriend. It's a lot of back and forth.
Yeah.
So fun times for Melania in Slovenia.
So the interesting thing is, she aggressively went after a couple publications because they wrote about how she was allegedly an escort, and she says, no, I was never an escort, so she filed defamation lawsuits against them. One of those lawsuits was actually against the Daily Mail, who later retracted the story and issued an apology, but Suzy magazine in Slovenia refuses to retract the article. They're standing by it, and they're very defiant. And so that is an ongoing legal battle in that country. But look, I never believed those articles, and besides which, I don't care. I don't care if she was an escort. I don't care what she's done with her life. It's completely irrelevant. But the fact that Suzy magazine stands by it and they refuse to retract it is interesting, especially considering the fact that you have this insanely powerful woman who has a powerful lawyer going after you, and they're like, no.
Yeah, look, it's impossible to determine anybody's motivations here because when it comes to the magazine, they could be just getting more attention, and maybe they view that as a net positive, and they'll settle at the end. Who knows? Or they think it's true and they don't want to get intimidated. But now remember, Donald Trump is unpopular in Slovenia because it's a much more liberal country. But Melania is very popular because they feel like she's adding a soft touch, they say, to Donald Trump, and she's representing her country well, and it's fine. So I don't know what their motivation. When it comes to Melania, I can tell you strategically she's made a mistake here. Because going after this magazine, who cares, about this random magazine in Slovenia? All it does is it puts that story about how she might have been an escort back in the news over and over and over again. So it's just a bad strategy. Now, I don't know why she's so defensive about former relationships.
Even a friendship.
Yeah, I mean, if you had a friendship or you had a relationship or you had boyfriends when some of the cases are before she was 22. So what? It would be weird if you didn't have boyfriends before 22. It'd be weird if you didn't date anyone before Trump. Actually, what's super weird, it was dating Trump.
I don't think it's about the fact that she dated people prior to Trump. Of course she did. I think the concern is that people will look to cash in by airing maybe some of her dirty laundry. I mean, think about it. There might have been people in her past that she confided in. They might know personal things about her that she doesn't want published out there. Like, I get it. By suing and going after this rinky-dink publication in Slovenia, you're bringing more attention to it. But I can also say, you know, having gone through similar defamatory claims against me, like, it's frustrating because people get to decide what your reputation is for you, and they get to defame you as much as they want, and you feel powerless against it. So it's a really difficult balancing act, and you know, I'm not criticizing her at all. I completely understand why she would want to go after them, you know, with a lawsuit.
Yeah, and there's just no way of knowing, guys, because if she wasn't an escort, she'd be pissed and she would do this. If she was an escort, she'd want to cover it up and she might do this. But at the end, we all agree, who gives a shit?
Yeah.
Okay, so even if she was, so what? And come on, I guess maybe they think voters would care, and especially their voters, because
your voters don't care about anything.
Well,
I mean,
that's a good point.
You can shoot someone on Fifth Avenue and they'll still support you.
Right, but 81% of white evangelicals voted for Trump, and maybe they think they care on that issue. But in reality, it's your own personal life. Nobody should give a damn what you did with it, as long as you didn't hurt anyone else.
Exactly.
Help us build independent media together. TYTnetwork.com/join.